So yesterday we left things on the pretty exciting way in which we can refine a property value in RPR in a completely unique way, in a way that is completely unavailable in any other system. How you can include the value of improvements and the age of improvements and how it's going to do the depreciation of those improvements. I even threw a little trick in there because I used, as an example, I used insulation, fiberglass insulation, which is the only improvement I believe that actually keeps its value or increases its value. And it was pretty funny because it actually increased the value. But anything else, the moment that you're done, you lose value and whatnot, and how you can take into considerations factors that we understand are absolutely vital, but no other CMA system would allow you to account for. For example, privacy, the view, etc., etc. So today we are going to pick a property, a random property, and we are going to walk through the mechanics of pulling a CMA. I am going to tell you a couple of tricks, and then we're going to dive directly into the reports. So in the next 26 minutes or so, we are going to cover a lot of ground. Right? So let's dive right in. I'm going to pick a random property in Delray Beach, single family home. And again, just I'm going to say one more time for those who are joining us just now. If you missed Monday's class and yesterday's class, don't worry, they will be available on my YouTube channel. Probably by Sunday, all of those were going to be available. So stay with us, bear with me. Today we're covering CMAs and reports. So once I find the property that I am interested on doing research on, verify that this is the right property. In order to do a CMA, I can click directly in CMA, but the system is going to ask me to confirm the facts first. And I think this is very interesting because at every step of the way, RPR is asking you to confirm the information that you're entering in order to get a CMA, right? In other cases, IMAP is the example that comes to mind. You just enter an address, 123 Main Street, my town, my state, and you tell it, hey, find comparables, and that's it. You're done with the CMA, which is a very tricky thing because if you don't actually tweak the criteria, you may end up with a CMA that is not very accurate. So this system, on the other hand, at every single step is going to tell you, stop right there, buddy. Are you sure? What is the information that you want to do? Okay. So first step, jump directly to CMA, comp analysis on this tab right here. And I am going to, the only way for me to proceed, if you look at the screen, the only button that I have available is confirm facts, nothing else. I cannot click on anything else. So I have to confirm the basic information about the property. Like we mentioned yesterday, sometimes in Broward County, it's very common to find that tax records have 000 for bedrooms, bathrooms, half bathrooms, and you have to enter the information manually. In this case, we are going to assume that all this information is correct. We're not going to change anything, but if you had to change, you can. If you knew for a fact that actually it's not 4 bedrooms, but 5, you could change it right here. Also, if this property was listed on the MLS, you would have the middle column, which in most cases is identical to the public record data, but in some cases is slightly different. It's part of what we do. We are many things. One of the things is detectives. And you guys know I'm not lying. So if any of the information on tax record is not correct, it needs to be updated. You have this column and you have complete control over this column. This column, the one that is called your changes, is absolutely vital. It will change the valuation of the property. Yeah. So make sure that everything that you do in here is super accurate. For this make-believe scenario, I am going to assume that there is no changes needed. So I'm going to move forward. I'm going to click on confirm facts and close. That's all I can do, either cancel or confirm. So move forward. Now I have another step. The next step is find the comms. So I'm going to click on find comms and let's see what happens when I click on find comms. All right. So this is my subject property up on top. And let's play with the criteria a little bit. The property type is pretty obvious. If you're doing a CMA for a single family home, obviously you're going to pick only single family home. Not too much of a mystery there. But on the right-hand side, well, this is a matter of endless debate among us, real estate professionals. There are two schools of thought. One school of thought will put forth the proposition that in order to have an accurate CMA, you need to take into consideration the listing price of active listings and the listing price of pending listings. And the other school of thought, just a little bit more conservative, a little bit more cautious, would put forth the proposition that the only way that you can be sure that evaluation is correct is if money changed hands already. So if a deed has been recorded, if there has been a closing, if this is a closed sale, then it's good from a CMA. Otherwise, it's all possibilities. And if you think about it, and now with my next example, you are going to realize what school of thought I favor when it comes to CMA. If you think about it, is there anything in the world that keeps me from listing a $250,000 home for $3 million? Outside of common sense, am I breaking MLS rules and regulations? Will I make the seller very, very happy for about 15 minutes flat while they think they can get $3 million for the property? I can do it. I will never sell it. I will never get a single phone call. I will be wasting my time and frustrating the seller, but I can. So what happens if one of my colleagues is trying to do a CMA and pulls my $3 million listing, which is grossly overpriced? Well, I'm skewing the CMA, right? So now you see, I subscribe to the school of thought that a CMA is reliable only if you take into consideration closed sales. Now, some of the most experienced agents among you are thinking, yeah, well, but if we're doing a market analysis, we really want to know what the active listing prices are. And yes, you're right. But for CMAs, when I need to sit down in front of a seller and propose to the seller an ideal marketing price for the property, I like to do my CMAs with closed sales. Yeah. Again, this is my personal opinion. And you can do two different types of research. The only CMA that I have ever felt comfortable with is closed sales. So what I'm going to do in RPR is I am going to eliminate the active for sale and the pendings, and I am going to tell it to show me only from public record and sold. So you see right here on this column, the property status, I want only public record and only sold. That is going to show me only properties that have closed. The rest of the criteria for a system that is as sophisticated, intricate, and subtle as RPR, the rest of the criteria is actually very simple. You don't have a lot of other options besides this. Anything that is checked, you see these little check marks in beds, baths, living area, those are the components that the system is using to extract comps from the database. So for example, if I want to take into consideration the year built, I need to put a check mark here. Otherwise, it's going to ignore it. The date is self-explanatory. I'm going to do within 1 year. Remember, a CMA system is not going to take a sale price for 12 months ago at face value. Is going to adjust that for the difference in the market. Yeah. So, and let's imagine that I want 3 bedrooms to 4 max, and bathrooms I want 3 to 4 max. And the living area, I like that range, I'll leave it as it is. Remember, this is just a make-believe scenario. We're just working on the mechanics of creating a CMA. So once I am ready with my CMA, either I can click on search or I can play with the map. Now I'm going to show you something interesting about the map. On RPR, probably some of you already noticed, there is no way to pick a subdivision. And that it's sort of an interesting lack in RPR. So what you can do is you zoom in a little bit more until you begin to see the actual lots. And then right here where it says use a geography, you can tell it show me the micro neighborhood and then search in this area. That will allow you to search by subdivision. Yeah? And now I deleted that. Another thing that I can do is I can zoom out, and whatever I'm using on the map, if I don't have a geography selected, is going to search within that map. Yes? I can draw a shape, box, radius, polygon, or I can use a custom area. So if I draw a shape, let's say I want a radius, I can go from the subject property, let's say 2 miles. Again, this is a make-believe scenario. Usually 2 miles around subject property, you're gonna have a mix that is too big. But for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm showing you the tools that you can have. So once you have the shape that you want, whether it's a subdivision or a radius or a box or a polygon, finally you click on search in this area. Now the next step is another thing that is different in RPR. It found 67 properties. Of course, I went 2 miles from the subject property, found a lot of properties. But look at this. Pay attention to the right-hand side. You see the comps that are being used by the system automatically? Yes, it's an empty box. It's picking nothing for you. It just found a lot of properties, and then you are going to pick the properties that you want to use. Now, a little hint, if one of the results has a blue star, that means that RPR, the AI behind RPR, is already using that particular property in the valuation, in its automatic valuation of our subject property. So if you see a blue star, that means that RPR already used that for its own valuation. It doesn't mean that you have to use it. It's just a hint, meaning, hey, the AI that runs RPR already thought that this property was a good comp. So I'm just gonna pick up a couple of random properties. Remember, this is not a serious CMA, we're just playing with the mechanics of this. So let's imagine that I'm happy with these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, one more, let's do one more. There you go. Update valuation and close. Of course, I just pick random properties. I didn't even look at them, so this is not gonna be a serious CMA, but the mechanics are the same. And now I am ready for the last step. So if you have that notepad and if you have that pen, pull it out now because I'm gonna give you a couple of interesting tips. Well, at least I think they're interesting. So click on create report. All of this right here are the possible reports that you can create with RPR. When you want to do a CMA, well, you're going to land on the seller's report. And the seller's report can be up to 100 pages. It is gorgeous. It is very, very impressive. And it begs you desperately to choose what is it that you are going to include. Because if you include everything that RPR has there by default, you are going to end up with about a ream of paper. And maybe this is not the type of presentation that you want. You want something more precise. So, tip, whatever type of report you choose, if you're doing a CMA, it's gonna be the seller's report, okay? But whatever type of property you choose, go to more details. Write this down. I'll give you 5 seconds. Whatever type of report you choose, go to more details and open that up. And on more details, we're gonna go step by step through all these components and what is it that you can do with these components. Now, bear with me. What you are creating, it is a very highly customized report. This report is all about that particular property. You are going to type the name of the sellers right there on the cover. They're going to see a picture of their own home right there on the cover. Yes? This is all about their property and their immediate market and their surrounding market and the reasons why you're suggesting a particular price. So, scenario number 1, you have not visited the property yet. This is something that you're going to send because somebody called you on the phone and they want a recommendation. Well, you really cannot give a recommendation without visiting the property. You do not know what the property looks like inside, what type of damage or improvements or fantastic surprises you're going to find. So you can, if you wish to do so, you can eliminate all the estimates of value. How do you do that? I want you to notice that each one of these elements has a check mark next to it. And some correspond to whole subsections. So for example, the subject property summary, if I uncheck it, all the subsections are going to be unchecked too. Look at my screen. See? On, off, on, off. What if I want the summary, but I don't want the property values? There you go. What if I do want the property values, but I don't want the CMA range? See? All of those are modular. You can turn them on and turn them off. Now, we have this absolutely gorgeous pre-made reports from Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Florida Realty. One is for a home buyer. The other one is the generic listing presentation. Then we have the flyer for home warranty, buyer benefits, and seller benefits. You can print all of those. It's going to be a significant number of pages. I believe there's something like an extra 30 or 40 pages total. Or you can uncheck them and have them on a separate folder ready in case that you need to bring it up. For example, if you use a customized listing presentation, to use the generic listing presentation may be seen as redundant, right? If you have already discussed the home warranty benefits, just to put the home warranty benefits flyer right on top of a customized presentation about a property may be distracting. So even if you choose to print these guys, it may be a wiser choice to put them at the end of the presentation instead of at the top, as it comes right here by default, right? So I'm just going to imagine that I'm dealing with a seller, so I'm not going to use the home buyer one. And I do have my customized listing presentation. I am a big fan of having customized listing presentations, so I'm not gonna use the generic one. And I will talk about the home warranty at another point. Once I have the listing, I'm gonna bring up the home warranty. We're gonna discuss that next month because I have a whole series of listing tricks. So I uncheck the elements that I do not want. Scroll down, and this is another one for your notepad. Very important. Let me see what it is. Okay, so market activity, it's vital information, but it means just that, market activity, what's happening in the market. It does not equal what's happening with properties that are very similar to yours. So if I am doing a CMA for a 5-bedroom home, market activity may include, for example, 2-bedroom condos. And if you are not sharply aware of this and you just print all this stuff, right, it may create a lot of confusion. Your potential seller may come to you and tell you, hey, Justin, I don't know if you noticed, but this is a 5-bedroom home with a pool and a 2-car garage. And here on market activity, you have a 2-bedroom condo. What is this? So if you perceive that you have a seller that will be very interested in a wide, broad range of market activity information, make sure that you print this and you're ready to explain. Because I can't tell you how many, I got dozens and dozens of calls from people telling me, hey, why my CMA is printing things that have nothing to do? Well, those are not comps, it's just market activity. This is an absolutely gorgeous seller's report, and it includes a lot of information that talks about the market in general, right? So let's say that you do not want market activity. Well, there you go, uncheck it. Your comps, well, obviously, we just did a CMA, so I do want my comps, right? Selected recent market activity, I may pick it or not. If I don't pick it, you see how it unchecks all the subsections too? And I am going to eliminate market activity for active listings, recently sold. This is just in my make-believe scenario. Depending on the CMA that you are doing, this may be very, very relevant and you may want to include active listings. But remember, these active listings are not part of your CMA, yeah? The recommended pricing strategy either is very important if you already arrived at a conclusion and you're recommending a pricing, or you definitely want to eliminate it if you have not visited the property yet and you still don't know what is it that is going to be. Seller proceeds and about, it's up to you whether you want to add it or not. If you have made any notes, customized notes like we discussed Monday, those notes can be included in your report. So that depends. If you have no notes whatsoever, whether you put a check mark or not, there's no difference. But if you do have notes that you have inserted on the record for this property, then you can include them. And again, we're going back to the pricing. You can suppress the estimated value or include it. It's completely up to you. Once you're done with all that, this is all within the details. Remember, I told you, whatever report you pick, you choose more details. Once you're done with all that, scroll down a little bit, and you can include the name of your sellers. So here I'm going to write Mr. Seller Mac Selling. And my message is, here's my preliminary report. It would be nice if I knew how to type, right? Etc., etc., etc. You can type a nice long message in there. And the next step is either you can display it right now, and if you display it, you can download it and email it later, or you can email it directly to someone. It is my personal preference to always display it right now. If there is something that I missed, if there is something that I would like to add, I am going to see it. But if you're in a rush, and if you're already super confident with RPR, you know that you're not going to have any surprises, you can just email it directly. One way or the other, you have access to your report for about, I believe, is a month, right? And then if you want to rerun the report, you just got to pull the address and rerun the report. So I'm going to show you what happens when you run the report. You click on Run Report, you get a little pop-up, and you can close the pop-up. And here on the side, up on top to the left, you will see that you have 3 different colors. Blue is reports that you have completed. Remember, after 1 month, they evaporate. Orange, it's reports that are being generated right now. That's a very ephemeral type of a report because it lasts something like 10 seconds and then they become blue. And red, in the rare occasion the system actually fails to generate a report, you're going to get a red square telling you failed to generate. I think in 10 years of RPR, I've seen that happening only once. And I don't know if I am sharing my computer sounds, but once the report is done, you hear like a doorbell, like ping pong, right? And then you can just click on download report. And now we're gonna look at the report. Remember that I chopped a lot out of my report, right? I just didn't want this section, didn't want that section and whatnot. So my report now is a very modest 26 pages. It is a PDF. You can save it. Remember that I added the name of the person? Well, there it is. And it's going to have your picture, your little note, your information, your logo, if you have a logo. And now very quickly, I am going to show you what it includes. The comp analysis, remember, I picked properties randomly. The home facts, remember I didn't change anything, so it's just the home facts from tax records. Extended home facts. Historical photos, which is pretty cool if you have a lot of them. The property history, and remember this is color coded, so yellow, it's that subject property. Dark blue is the zip code. Then you have the county and the state. Assessed values all the way down to 2005, and the taxes all the way down to 2010 in this particular property. The legal description, the mortgage records, 2003, 2005, the deed records, the sales and financing activity. Like we discussed on Monday, this can be very exciting or very boring. In this particular case, there's really no activity. It's only once a year, the assessed value and nothing else. But if there was a listing, if there was a sale, if there was distress activity, financing activity, you will see all that. Market health charts and comparisons, and so on and so forth. So what I would like you to do, as soon as we finish with this, if you have an extra 10 minutes, and I promise you, it's not gonna take you more than 10 minutes, I want you to go to RPR. I want you to pick a property that you're very familiar with. It could be your own home, it could be one of the listings that you have, one of your neighbors, and try to do a serious CMA, not a random CMA like I just did, I just pick some random properties. Try to do a serious CMA and see if you're happy with the results. The one step that I am the most interested on is when you select the sections that you are going to include on your seller's report. Yes, I want you to refine that process until you're very happy with the report that you end up printing and emailing. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen and I am going to unmute all of you. Let me see, what questions do I have? All right, I have no questions. This was a good class. So I'm going to mute, I am going to unmute all of you guys. There you go, unmute. All right, everybody's unmuted. Any questions? HTC?
I just did like a 300-page seller's report yesterday. I didn't go in and I'm like, oh my God. I just told him like, go halfway through the report. It's a beautiful report.
It is.
So go halfway and then you'll see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
now I'm thinking, oh my God.
Yeah.
I didn't realize all the details.
I am glad that you brought that up because all those materials are printed at the beginning of the report. They are great, but it is my personal opinion that maybe they belong at the end of the report, not at the beginning. And if you're dealing with a seller, maybe you don't want to print the buyer guide because it's going to look like you are just giving them something canned, something that is not customized.
I gave them something very canned.
Right. Well, they know you, so that's fine. They know you, and they know that they know that you're super good.
It's my listing. We wanted to see, so I did it different ways.
Oh my God, Miriam is here. Hi, Miriam. So, any other questions? Any other comments?
Would you still recommend using this in conjunction with the IMAP comps?
That is a very good question. That's a very good question. And once you are familiar with RPR, there's one thing that is indisputable. The reports from RPR are gorgeous. They are stunning. And one secret, guys, your competition is not using it. They're not using it. Okay, so I would edge towards RPR because it is absolutely stunning, gorgeous, and it gives you so much detail. But if you have access to IMAP, IMAP is very, very handy when you have not complex CMAs. For example, let's say that you have a condo building and the condo building only have 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom apartments. Well, with IMAP, you can do a CMA literally one click and you're done. And they're very accurate. Also, if you need to tweak the criteria, IMAP gives you a very, very wide range of factors to input into your CMA. For example, subdivision, which is one of my favorites, right? So two very different systems. If you're going for the shock and awe, RPR, because it is absolutely gorgeous and it gives you very detailed information. If you need something quick and dirty I mean in the sense that you just click a button and you're done. Not that it's not good, it's high quality, IMAP is very good. If you have a complex CMA though, IMAP is not going to be able to help you because you cannot input subjective factors and you cannot input improvements, depreciation, all the stuff is impossible to do in IMAP. A very good question. Any other questions out there?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Of course, Toby.
Okay, so my question is, I have a friend who has his daughter has listed his house, and this is in Miami, and his girlfriend says to me, I think it's way overpriced. So I went on RPR, I put the address in, but it already has it listed and it has the listed price there. I want to get what RPR thinks that it should be. How do I?
Is the RVM. If you look at the RVM, that is the automatic valuation by RPR, the RVM, but I would not use the RVM. I would invest an extra 5 minutes and I would do a CMA. And once you create the CMA, remember, you can eliminate the listing price, you can eliminate the RVM and only leave visible your estimated price.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question here on the chat box from Isabel. Hey, Isabel, how are you? So good that you came to visit me today. So I have a question. Do you use active, closed, and pending properties in the CMA? We had a little bit of a discussion about that, and there's two schools of thought, and they're perfectly valid, both schools of thought. I tend to go with, I tend to prefer only closed sales, but this is just me because I'm a nerd. I'm a certified nerd. I have the nerd pen. See, I'm not lying to you. So I like closed sales. If money did not change hands, I don't totally trust it. But it is absolutely vital to have a very good idea what is it that is selling right now, what is active on the MLS, what's pending. So my personal answer to whether you use active pendings or closed sales is, for your CMA, stick to closed sales, but when you're doing the research, have a separate report, maybe just for yourself, with all the actives and all the pendings.